What's up, Steve?
Hey, Stephanie, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Good to see you. It's been a little while.
Yeah, where you been?
Not too bad. How have you
Yeah,
been feeling? You've been keeping out of trouble?
I'm trying to keep out of trouble. You know how it is in the Bronx. There's always trouble. You got to get away from the trouble or go to the trouble, and I kind of do both all the time. So, but you know what? When I see our intro picture, it reminds me how long we've been doing this show, which is, it's going on 5 years, right? Almost,
It's about four
and
and a half at this point, for sure.
yeah, 4.5 years. So I'm always anytime you do anything like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years going on, it's a blessing. And I know you and David work very hard. How's everything going in Texas?
Good. It's still hot. I know it allegedly is the fall. It's currently down to 91 degrees.
Oh
So
wow,
it's
okay.
still hot here.
Okay, a little hot, a little hot. But this is Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb. That's Stephanie McPhail and Steve Vaccaro, both under the Chapters Community Network, which is a 501c3. Now, Gala is coming up on November 10th. It's a Sunday. It's right before Veterans Day. It's from 4 to 9. And we're honoring Dave Revels, Bob Clappish, Tony Orlando, a couple of nonprofit programs. We have some youth heroes that we're going to honor. We have an entrepreneurship award that we're giving out. We have a community musical award that we're giving out, and our Chapters Network All-Star Band will be performing. So if you're interested, please contact us, chaptersnetwork.org, or you can call us directly at 516-476-6271 to get your tickets and make your reservations. November 10th, day before Veterans Day. So we're giving out 50 free vouchers for turkeys for veterans for Thanksgiving. So, Stephanie, I understand that you're coming down again a second year in a row.
Perhaps. So that's yes, I'm excited. I'm really excited to be able to come and help out again. Last year was so much fun. I had such a good time meeting some really amazing people and, getting to see, we do this online, you and and we don't get to really meet as much in person. So people that I had known for years virtually, that I got to actually meet them in real life and got to interview them and stuff. So I'm excited to reconnect with them and meet some of the new amazing people that are part of the network.
That's right. And you're originally from Long Island, so it's like a homecoming for you, right?
It is. It's a very short period of time to see and do a whole lot of things and eat as much Italian food as possible.
There you go. You got bagels, Chinese food, and Italian food. I don't know how it is in Texas, but in New York, it's top notch. But you have a book out there. You're doing amazing work. Tell everybody about your book.
Sure. Well, Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt is all about my story of overcoming the cycle of toxic relationships, and really meant to help inspire people that if they are in a toxic relationship, they can decide to create something different for themselves. So I love being able to put it out there and give it to people that need it. But realistically, the big thing is that if anybody's watching this or watching any of our shows, remember that the world on the other side can be a much more beautiful place if we just do the work and get out. So wherever you're at, anything is possible for you if we just do the work and change.
I love that. And what do you find the most rewarding aspect of what you do? Because you bring a lot of people together, and they're coming from volatile situations, and you're able to help in the healing process with them. So I imagine that's rewarding in itself. But for you, what do you find the most rewarding aspect?
I just love the aha moments. When somebody says, like, when I'm able to connect some dots together and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize until you just said that thing. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I've been stuck in the cycle because of something that happened to me when I was a kid. Or, oh my gosh, I don't take care of myself, or I don't have healthy boundaries. And then once they start putting those things into place and you see the work they actually start doing, then all of a sudden they're creating these amazing relationships. They're meeting new people. They're really creating a life that they're excited to wake up to every day. And I'm always amazed at what's possible for the nonprofits, the civic service people do. I mean, all these other things that wouldn't have been possible had they not done the work on themselves.
Right. And what do you find most challenging?
The people that come to us that aren't really ready to make the change yet. The ones that are, when they're given suggestions, they don't do them and they keep themselves stuck. That sometimes can feel frustrating. It's part of the process. But the ones that kind of fight you on the ones like they're like, oh no, I want to do it this way. And you're like, well, that's going to get you the same exact spot, but you have to let them go down that route. Sometimes they have to figure it out and learn the hard way.
Right. And recently, it's been a couple of months now, you have a podcast going on. How's that going?
podcast has been going on for a year.
Wow, a year already.
Yeah, like 95 episodes, something like that. Toxic Love Transformation. Go over to any place that you see podcasts and it's available there. We've had some really, really amazing guests on that show. Definitely worth a listen if you're in the process of leaving a toxic relationship or you've left one. It's a great inspirational podcast to really remind people that no matter what they've experienced, they too can make it happen for themselves.
Well, that's great. And, I'm the mental health therapist for the Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon. That's where this is my office, actually. And Mount Vernon is the program where Denzel Washington came out from. And he is behind the scenes supporting an effort to open up a new Boys and Girls Club in the next 3 years. So it's kind of exciting here with all the kids and the staff here to be part of it. And I've been here about a year and a half now. And, working with families and children, kind of bridging the gap between what goes on at school, what goes on here, what goes on at home. And I think as a community person, it's important to bridge that gap because when the bell rings at school, sometimes that structure or safety is not in place. And a Boys and Girls Club provides that. And you had the opportunity to interview Denzel Washington a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of exciting for you, right?
Yeah, super, super cool, super nice guy. I've now been able to interview someone else that he graduated with. So now I've got to meet Denzel Washington and somebody else that was in the Boys and Girls Club. And it's a beautiful thing to see what happens when kids, no matter what their upbringing was, no matter what they experienced as kids, and, where some kids can go in a completely wrong direction. But when they have places like the Boys and Girls Club, they get that support, they get that community, and how their lives just took a completely different turn than those who didn't. So keep doing the great work that you're doing. I love what it is, and it really does make such a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about connecting and bridging the gap. And there's so many families out there that don't understand even how to navigate through the special ed system in the school system. Mm-hmm. And when that happens and the child does not get the services he or she should get that deserve. And so when you sit down with them, you sit down with parents and you kind of enlighten them on the process, that's an aha moment for me too, to see them empowered then to go out and go through the proper steps to get the changes or the services that are needed for their son or daughter that may need them. And that's exciting because then they come back here and then they spread the word with other parents. And I think that's where I get the most pleasure out when you could kind of like throw a stone and make it ripple and make that ripple affect other people. And I think that's why I continue to do what I do.
And I think that's something you and I have in common. I mean, that's what it is. It's like you're helping specific people, but those people are then going out and able to do more for themselves as well. And it just, it's an effect on their own families, the communities, and the world at large is them being able to have that voice.
Right. So, and through our Chapters Community Network, it's we still have about 12 shows on the network. We do radio every Wednesday night from 7 to 10 p.m. on WGBB, which is a station here in Long Island. It gets simulcasted back in Florida, Clearwater, Tampa Bay, and St. Petersburg. So we have 3 hours of different programming that occurs. And we have different shows, different people that call in, different hosts that call in from around the country that provide advocacy. It's basically we're advocates for advocates. So, and somebody that that came on the show, one of our guests, Stacey Goodrich, she does a show, So Connected. So every now and then she does that. She's going to be on cable now starting in October. So she has a Long Island colleague that we're setting things up with her. And you never know what happens when you have a guest on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love it.
And tonight, who do we have on tonight?
Tonight we have Munira Zahabi, and hopefully I'm saying it right. She can correct me when she comes on. Zahabi, maybe is how you say it. But she's got a really great story of overcoming, and I think it'll really inspire people that maybe people that haven't heard the story before, maybe people that haven't, thought about what's possible for them might be inspired to start making some changes. So welcome to the show, Munira. So good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. Hi, Jack. How are you?
Jack. Well, Jack is behind the scenes. I'm Steve. So how you doing? I'm
Steve.
filling it. That's okay. That's okay. We're all working together. But we've heard amazing work that you've been doing. Tell us about the work that you do and why you do it.
Well, right now I'm focusing on allowing people to give their business a voice because most people don't have the aptitude or the know-how of how to do marketing, and then they get frustrated with so much to do, and then they don't do it at all because then they have procrastination or fear. So what I do is ask people to give their business a voice, and that sounds a little corny because what you were saying too is what you do is giving the people that you work with have to have a voice so that they can voice their concern. But here entrepreneurs are given the latitude to say, you know what, to say what their business is about, because we've been taught for a long time not to brag about our businesses or what we do. But in this world, in our world of radio and podcasts and everything, you have to give your business a voice. And we see that in the advertising world so much that now I'm giving that awareness to a lot of entrepreneurs as well.
And I will tell you, I think we talked about this when we met, is that I think for me, the marketing piece, that was like the hardest thing, is to be able to give your business a voice. I was like, I remember the first time I ever did it, I was like, I'm going to be a coach and I'm going to help other women heal. It was like, I was so excited. I knew that's what I needed to do. And the first time I ever did a Facebook Live, and I was all excited and all prepared, and one person showed up, and it was probably one of my friends. And I was like, wait a minute, this getting clients thing is really hard. I just thought if I told people that I was going to help people, that clients were just going to come in, but that's not how it is.
Not how it is. So you become something, and you expect, like, you graduate from college and expect a lot of recruiters giving you a call because you've graduated. Same thing with our business. You expect all these people needing you, but no, you have to go out and you have to tell them, explain to them what you do, how you do it, and why they should be in your vicinity and scope of its sphere of influence.
What do you think is the biggest reason? And I want to get into your story definitely too, because you've got a crazy story, but I wonder, why do you think that so many people have a hard time with really giving that voice to their business?
Because we are inundated. Right now, we are so inundated with marketing and people don't like selling. That's another key part of it. We don't know how to sell, or I'm not good at selling, or they have this self image where they're not good at something, so they never do it. Mm-hmm. And then they get scared. I'm scared all the time, but you just have to put yourself out there and just say it. People are scared because of FOMO. They think of procrastination. They're feeling the fact that, what's the word? Not FOMO, but what's the word? The fear of imposter syndrome. That's what I'm.
Right.
So that's another thing. It's like, why would anybody buy from me? Well, if you're looking at all the gurus, right, the Tony Robbins of the world and all of the other people, I'm not hitting on him to say that he's bad, but he paid the price. He has gone from zero level to our level, from our level to wherever he is at today, but he never stopped. He kept talking about it and talking about it. I've never really actually heard this whole story, like from where he started, but I know that he was a hungry kid, always looking for food, and that's why this is his biggest mission of feeding people. But he started out somewhere, and then he started looking at books, reading books, and sharing that. So I think most of the time we don't share what we do most of the time, and we need to share that, because if you don't give your business a voice, who will? The testimonials are only going to come after you get clients. What do you do before you get clients?
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about, you came from a background where you did not experience. Now, of course, the show is Kicking Healthy Relationships to the Curb. So what was your experience before, or have you always done this business, or did you have something that happened beforehand?
I never had this business before. I've had this business for almost 10 years. It's going to be next year, it's going to be 10 years. So yay there. But I've come from East Africa. I've lived in United States 30 years, but you have to start somewhere. I had a very good corporate job. I had a good county job before that. And then when I got my degree, I thought I was invincible, and I was waiting for all these recruiters to give me a call because I had a master's degree in something and never got that call. So then when corporate came calling one day, I said, I'll take the first job that came lined up, and I did. And then I got laid off. So what do you do then? And so from there spawned this idea of, I've been helping people in my jobs in helping them figure out their niche. Why can't I do this as a business? And that's where it's, this whole idea that spawned, and it became a monster now. So it's really fun because I have met several thousands of people, and it's so much fun to help them figure out, one, what their niche is, two, what their ideal client is, and then taking that and bundling it into giving your business a voice.
So now this is Kicking Healthy Relationships with the Curb. So have you ever experienced an unhealthy relationship?
I have. So my journey begins when my mom died, right? My mom passed away when I was 12. My father married a woman, my stepmother, within 8 months. She came, I thought we welcomed her as a person, a mother, but Cinderella story all over again. I mean, when Hans Christensen wrote his book, I don't know what he was thinking, but he put my life in perspective right there and then. And my stepmother had her own agenda. So by the age of 15, I was married. I was married to a man who was 13 years my senior. And I was moving from one country to another. So even though I was in East Africa, I was in Kenya, born and raised, I had to move to Tanzania and went to Dar es Salaam from there. And the thing is that the thinking there was not modernized. The education isn't fast forward there. Kenya was a little bit modern, but when I come in, I felt like I'd gone back in time, historic ages, And my job was to produce a son. And I not only had my husband, but I also had 6 sisters-in-law that I had to deal with. Ooh. And at 15, I didn't know how to figure things out. And I couldn't go back home because my stepmother didn't want me there. So what is it that I have to do? So 3 choices. You either run away and then shame your family, which that's a no-no, or you die, commit suicide and die, or you deal with it.
Yeah.
And I dealt with it. I felt like, what else can I do? And there was no way out. I have 3 daughters, beautiful daughters, and I have a son. Finally, I got a son, and they are the apples of my eye. Never regretted a moment. But it was at one moment where I really got to a point where I realized that there was nobody else that would take care of my kids if I was gone. They didn't care. They were not their kids. They were just their brother's kids. Or my husband was always in the business. He worked as a watch repairer and a jeweler. And all he did was his business was most important for him. So my thinking was, if I didn't take care of my kids, who would? So I made that conscious decision at that one point that I am going to live only for my kids. And they are the only things that will matter. And to this day, I've kept that promise. Every time my kids call me now, I just show up. And it wasn't just me making this decision otherwise, but it gave me joy to live for my kids because I didn't want them to fall into this hardship that I had fallen into. And with God's grace, all of them have amazing spouses, they have an amazing life, but they also, I don't let them forget where we came from. So
Yes.
they kind of remember, but I'm not in their face telling them, but sometimes, there are little moments where I give them little reminders. But other than that, their life is just amazing. And they've done well. They've done well.
Now, did you leave North Africa or East Africa to come to the United States with your husband, or did you come here to get away from him?
No, I came here because I won the visa. There was a program that Bill Clinton had started, President Bill Clinton. And then so somehow God was in my court. I won that visa. I came here, and it's in the lottery systems. It's the only lottery I'm going to ever win in my life. And I came to United States. But I had made up my mind that I was going to come here regardless of the fact that if my husband wouldn't come or not. And I did come. He came with me.
Mm-hmm.
But America liberated me. There were so many things here that I didn't have back home. I mean, even to this day, I think about the fact that if I was still back home, I would still have the backward thinking, even though I came from a modern country. But if you live in a backward thinking country, you still think, you become like that because that's what you see every day. And I felt like I was a bird in a cage that needed to soar high. And I came here and I realized that this country has given me, I'm so thankful that I'm here, but this country has given me so many opportunities. There's so many programs. There's so many people who want to help you, just take care of you. I used to work in a pharmacy, and I used to work every weekend plus other days, but I would be in the hood making IVs for patients, and sometimes I would just cry because I would look at other people's lives and I would think, what have I done to get this portion? And anytime they would give me double shifts, I would work. Anytime they would give me overtime, I didn't want to be home.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was awesome with the kids. He was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
With me, he had a problem. So the further away I got, the better it was.
Mm.
And I lived here for almost 8 years. We even got a house. Everything was fine. But the fact was that it hurt me the way he acted with me, the way he talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that, every times there are people who say that they're going to change or they're not going to say it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always happen.
No.
And when I realized all of that, and just different things, credit card debt, you have credit cards, all of these companies sending you different cards, he would pull out money from that. So things like that, it hurt me in not only emotionally, but it hurt me mentally as well, because why is he doing these things? Yeah. And one thing, when I came to America, I couldn't understand that how people could go to school full-time and then have a full-time job. And when I realized that, I was like, this is the key to my freedom, is go get an education. Mm-hmm. And I was able to get that. It took me 9 years, but I got 2 associate degrees, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. And the fact is, oh my God, America has so much to offer. And I feel bad for people who, one, have not researched or done their homework about this, or are just ignorant to the fact that this is my fate and I'm going to live. Mm-hmm. I get very angry with the women who say that, but it's not my life. Mm-hmm. The radar that I have also is I can see abuse from afar. And I try to warn the women. There's been a few women that I've helped out by encouraging them, helping them, because it's all about mindset. It's here when we start thinking about it. It's like, when is it are you going to realize that you gotta just step out of this and just walk away? And I'm not asking you to walk away, but you have to start. And courage doesn't come like, it's not a Superman. Like, it's not going to come to you because you've got the kryptonite. It's going to come 1 ounce at a time, or 1 teaspoonful at a time, and you're going to be able to do things. When I started, the first thing I realized, that the first thing I did was I called all the credit card companies. And I told them that there will be no more borrowing money. I gave them all a password.
Good.
And there was no internet at the time. There was, but it wasn't like so robust.
Yeah.
So that's what I first started doing. And I hope this message reaches out to a lot of other women, because you have to take tiny steps. It took me 4.5 years to get out and just get out. Completely. I would sit and talk to him. Tried counseling. I did a lot of things. And it was always my fault. It was never his. So everything was my fault. And everything, because I worked in a pharmacy, those people had changed my whole thinking, where half the time I never had time to speak to anybody. I was always so busy. But, so my question was to the women who are out there is like, what can you do to get out? And I'm here to help you. I'm here to advise you as a strategist in business. I also help people change their lives also.
I love that.
It's great work that you're doing. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website called thenichenavigator.com, thenichenavigator.com, all one word. And you just go to the contact us page and reach out there, and I will answer.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. And your story is very inspiring. And the people that you empower is so very important, because the work that we all do is trying to get people healed and transition through difficult times. So we want to thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I think it's really going to help a lot of people.
God bless. So. Thank you. So bye-bye now. So Stephanie, I mean, another great guest, and I'm doing great work, and that's what it's all about.
It is. And, again, I think it's just the reminder that, I mean, she was married, forced marriage at 15, and was able to get out of an entire different country and come to America, take advantage of the opportunities that were given to her here, and change her life completely. So just a reminder that anybody could do it. They just have to put their mind to it and take those steps.
And who knew you could go to school and work full time at the same time? Who knew that?
I mean, I did. It was hard,
yes.
But you do what you have to do sometimes.
Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. And tonight's show is extended. We have an hour show because I have another co-host on the network. His name is Michael Amos, and he is going through some open heart surgery tomorrow, and he felt the need to come in. He lost his father recently. He lost his uncle recently. He's been a dear friend, and he does a show called Breakfast 50 Years of Mike and Mel. So I know, Stephanie, you may have to go, but I want you to meet Mike for a few moments. Mike, if you're there, I want you to pop on the screen here. And I know, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Cool. First of all, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
All right, great. Hello, Stephanie, how are you?
I'm good, Michael. How are you actually talking to us from the hospital?
I'm in the University of Vermont, Burlington Hospital Center. I'm in the hospital, University of Vermont, Burlington Hospital. Fabulous facility. First, I'll say, it's due to some series of unfortunate events in the past year. This is the second time I've been in the hospital, and this is a great facility. I am scheduled for open heart surgery at 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Because I have a bad valve and enlarged. I think it's the aorta that's enlarged, and they have to put They're going to try and repair the valve, and also see if they could put a graft in. Well, they hope to put a graft in the aorta to get it back down to normal size, and that is scheduled tomorrow morning. I'm feeling good. I got I have a few mottos in life and a few sayings, and one of them is, I don't know who remembers Monty Python, but I'm not dead yet. I see the history of the world, or I see the Holy Grail, and there's a scene where they're bringing out a cart, and they're like, "Bring out your dead, bring out your dead." And there's a guy on the cart. He's like,
I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. And I guess, yeah, I'm in the hospital, but I'm not dead yet. About approximately a month ago, on a Friday, a tree fell on my car. I was in upstate New York in the Adirondacks, and there was a bad storm. A tree fell on my car on a Friday. On a Sunday, my uncle died. On a Tuesday, my father died. My uncle was 88 and on home hospice, and my father was, no, excuse me, my uncle was 91 on home hospice. My father was 88 in a facility, the feeding tube. So, that was, supposed to happen. I found myself I do believe what month? November. I had a biopsy of my kidney, which led to a bleed, which caused a hematoma, which was very painful. And then after that, I wound up on dialysis. I've been on dialysis for less than a year, and because of my lifestyle, as Steve knows, I was living in a trailer in northern Minnesota at the foot of a ski hill because I was working as a ski tech during the winters. And that caused me to have to drive 2 hours a day, 3 times a week, 2 hours one way to get to dialysis. So, due to some urging of my children, and maybe even a slap on the back of the neck for me to, wake up, I decided to move to the East Coast, back to the East Coast. And I moved to a small town called Elizabethtown, New York, in the Adirondacks. And in conjunction with an artist residency program called Craig Arden, DAN, and they offered me a place to stay for minimal rent, which was 10 minutes away from a dialysis and a satellite hospital. This past Tuesday during dialysis, I noticed, well, I guess last Tuesday, I noticed I was short of breath and a little, whatever, congested. And so my doctor, he prescribed a course of antibiotics, and he said, take some Benadryl, that should help dry you up. And that it didn't get better. By Thursday, I went back to the hospital, and they airlifted me by helicopter to the University of Vermont Hospital Center on the other side of Lake Champlain, where they discovered that my valve was not functioning, so blood was going back into my lungs. I felt like a celebrity also because I ain't never been in a helicopter, so that was pretty cool. And then I'm sitting there and I could see, and it's, oh man, picturesque, one of the Finger Lakes, Lake Champlain, mountainous. But I think I learned from both. We call father the eternal optimist. I heard you making light of my mother. Not only did my mother go to school full time and work full time, but she had two young boys. One of them being a rambunctious Michael Amos that you see here. And my mother never quit. My father was the eternal optimist. So, I pretty much only know one way, and that's forward.
Well, that is forward, Mike. Let me cut you off for a minute. So, first of all, this is Kick on Healthy Relationships to the Curb. This is bonus edition here. We have Michael Amos here, who is having open heart surgery. So, this is very courageous of you to come on to talk about it. And your spirits are so uplifting and positive. And I know Stephanie may have to go. I don't know. But Stephanie, I wanted you guys to meet because your father, tell us a little bit about your father real quick so Stephanie gets an idea. And Jack, pop that picture up of his father for a minute.
My father was Wally Amos, the founder of the famous Amos Chocolate Chip Cookie Company. I feel a little emotional because my father was way more than famous Amos to me. As I said, I'm the oldest of 4 children. My brother and I were by his first wife, and we call my father the eternal optimist. But I saw my father just deal with adversity after adversity. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't say that my father was born in Tallahassee, Florida, deep South, okay? And he dealt with a lot of racism. What I remember a few stories my father told me. He didn't talk about growing up in the South a lot. He told me about one incident where he was walking to school as like a young child and he picked up a stick. And he said he was harassed by troopers because he was a young black boy carrying a weapon. And other than that, he did not tell me any stories about growing up in the South, but I would imagine. And then he also told me something else that was interesting. My father was the first black booking agent for William and Morris, a talent agency. My father, he booked Simon and Garfunkel's first tour in New York. He booked the Supremes, and my father, I remember him saying that they opened he was a Motown liaison. So he booked the Chitlin circuit. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there's a show that went to the South. And he said they would load multiple acts on a bus and do like 20 shows in 25 days. And then he told me that William and Morris was opening a rock and roll division, a new rock and roll division. My father was the top agent at that time, and he said that his boss called him in his office and said, I don't think that these guys would take direction from a black agent. So my father did not get the new rock and roll division, and he quit. And moved to California. And I would again be remiss if I didn't. Everybody talks about my father, okay, but I'm not gonna let this opportunity go without talking about Maria LaForey Amos, who was my mother. My mother, she was had an MSW, and she became part of a recruiting team that worked out of an office in Lower Manhattan and recruited for all of the SUNY schools in the state.
Wow.
And as I said, she raised with the help of my uncles, which is also why it's I guess apropos or significant that my uncle and my father died like 2 days apart. And I found myself looking at the both of these male figures from the both sides of my family.
Right. We have Michael, we have a picture. Jack, pop up that picture. There's 4 of us. It's Mel Campos. There you go. There's your uncle right there to your right. Right, Michael?
Yeah, that's Uncle Freddie, and that was in his last good days. But he had revitiligo. He had a few things going on. But yes, that's Uncle Freddie. That's his father, my grandfather, was part of he was a supply sergeant for Patton's Red Ball Express. And remember, he was in the Second World War when they did not allow blacks to fight. But my grandfather came back from the Second World War proud of what he did. And I can remember my uncles telling me when he came back from the Second World War, he was like, yeah, they call me the Rock. And since that point in time, we refer to my grandfather as the Rock.
Wow.
So you got one side, you got the Rock family. You got Wally Amos's family on the other side. And one of the things that I realized in looking at the passing of both of them, my uncle told me 20 years ago at his brother's funeral. He told me, he said, the longer you live, the more funerals you're going to go to.
Right.
And he said, so it would be a good idea to make your peace with death. Now, I did not get the significance of that till I was standing up at my uncle's funeral speaking and realizing that that whole line has gone. My mother, my three uncles, my grandparents, and then my father. And what I realized in that moment was that I was not sad because I felt the strength of both sides of my family and that line. And people talk about legacy, and people often say that we're descendants of kings and stuff like that. And in that moment, standing there speaking at my uncle's funeral, I felt empowered. I felt that power. And I wasn't sad because it was time for them to go. And what I learned when my mother left was that the living, we selfish, okay? Because oftentimes later in life when people go, they're not doing well, they're feeling bad, they die and we cry. They die and we cry and we say they're in a better place. And my question, I guess, is if they're in a better place, why are we crying?
Oh, because I was at your uncle's funeral, your service, the celebration of life, and it was a packed house. Family and friends spoke. You spoke. Mel Campos spoke, your dear friend of 50 years. And let's get into that for a moment because you do a show with him on a network called Breakfast 50 Years with Mike and Mel. We can pop in their logos. There we go. Talk about Mel Campos for a minute because 50 years of a friendship is so very important and it doesn't happen in life too often.
I guess start. Melvin and I met in Adelaide Stevenson High School in Mr. Zeitlin's English class. And I don't remember what Mr. Zeitlin said, but it was the perfect opportunity that I saw for a joke. And Melvin and I, not knowing each other at the time, both made the same joke. We made the same joke. We looked at each other, and I think the rest is history.
Yeah.
Fast friends ever since.
Yeah, well, we have a little video clip. Mel wanted to send that out, so I hope Jack, you can cue up that clip. Mel, let's Jack, play that clip of Mel talking to Michael right now if we have it.
Michael Amos. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're supposed to be heading to New Orleans to celebrate 50 years of friendship. That significantly. Wasn't in the plans this time, but we'll get there. 50 years of friendship. We've covered a lot of ground. Wishing you a very speedy recovery. But you're as tough as they come. You're a guy who's always been true to yourself. A guy who is not afraid to step outside the box, and a guy who is who he is. That is a recipe for a solid friendship. Through victories, challenges, kerfuffles, and Ave Maria Purissima moments, we've stuck together, we've done a lot of stuff, and I look forward to doing a lot more stuff with you. Love you, babe.
Thanks. Give thanks.
What do you think, Michael?
Give thanks. Give thanks. Melvin Campos and I have been together for a long time, and we've been through thick and thin, and we've gone through times where we've even been angry at each other and haven't spoken to each other, but we always come back to each other because I think we're two individuals that have strong opinions, and we stick to our guns, Steve. And I really just thank you for this opportunity to be able to express myself and let people know that I feel that the cure for everything that ails the world is love, is unconditional pure love. Now, by that, I do not mean you let people walk over you, because Steve, you know me and Mel knows me. I do not let people take advantage of me. But I think that love, like a pure love from your heart, is what can cure everything and can cure this world. And in the climate, in the world climate that we have today, where people are so quick to take shots at each other and be judgmental of each other, you can't forget love, and you also you just have to keep in mind that sometimes the best thing in life is to just get out your own way. I mean, I'm so overflowing with the joy of friends that I've had for years. I mean, I've gotten calls from people I went to high school with. Now, remember, Mel and I graduated high school in 1977. I've gotten calls from people that I graduated high school with in 1977 that I have not spoke with since 1977, and they making sure that they wish me well. And they told me, yeah, I'm doing this show because they said you got to stay in good spirits. I mean, this is a great room, man. I have a hospital bed. I got a reclining chair. I got a pull-out couch. I got a flat screen TV. I got a bathroom that's big enough that the reclining chair fits in. And they want you to be healthy. They want you to move around as much as you can. So of course, if I'm physically able, of course I'll do this show, because Lord knows I ain't gonna be able to do it tomorrow.
Okay.
And maybe in 2 weeks from now we could do. Maybe in 2 weeks to a month from now we could do a follow up. But I'm feeling good, Steve, and thank you for this opportunity.
Well, Michael, sometime we talked early today, and I was a little hesitant about asking you because you went through a procedure yesterday. You have open heart surgery scheduled for 6:30 tomorrow morning. So this is very courageous. But your spirit, I love your spirit. When we first met, you can know somebody for 50 years like you and Mel know each other, or you can know somebody for 50 minutes, but you feel their spirit, you feel their spirit. And when I first met you, it was important to honor your relationship, your friendship with Mel for all these years. And then I got to know you a little bit and how you persevered, how you're the ultimate optimist, how you've taken life on and you've connected with so many people. So for me to you, this is a blessing to know you as my friend. And I wanted to make sure people heard you and the strength that you have to come on tonight, because I love you, brother.
Thanks.
And I hear everything you're saying. If you had to look back on your life, what stands out? I know you mentioned your mom and family, but what's something that stands out for what you've done or what you will do in the future? What's important to you?
Broaden your comfort zone. However that may be, I think that could take on, different things for different people. The way I broaden my comfort zone is through travel. I'll say, don't be afraid to push the limits. Now, do I mean, you know, drive 80 in a 75 speed limit? No, that's not what I mean. But like push the limits. Like I've lived in northern Minnesota, I've lived in South Dakota, I've lived in Oregon, I've lived off the grid in a cabin. I've lived in a trailer with wood burning stove that I've sourced my own wood for. I've lived in yurts. I've lived in some pretty nice houses. Don't be afraid, because I think that every time you test and extend your limits in life, you broaden your world. So you don't have to do what I did, like go live off the grid for a year. But what I realized is that, I went and I lived off the grid for a year, and I don't live off the grid anymore, but I'm very comfortable being off grid adjacent, and I think that some of those all those experiences can do is broaden your world, man. I think it's sad when people don't travel but a certain amount of distance radius away from their home. At a young age, I decided that I wanted to know, if you took me away from the Bronx and dropped me 10 miles outside the Bronx in any radius, I want to be able to find my way home. And I just want to continue to broaden that radius all around me, except for necessarily the Atlantic Ocean, because I'm not sure I would be able to find my way home in the Atlantic Ocean. But I pride myself on the fact that I've seen a lot of this country. I've traveled a decent amount of this country and lived a fair amount of this country. And I think that my family is a testament to that. My father was born in Tallahassee, Florida, and when he passed away, he was living in Hawaii. You know, um,
We're having some audio problems right now. Mike, you muted yourself. Unmute it. All right, well.
Dave
Yeah, now
got
I
me
can
back.
hear you. Yeah, we got you back now.
My daughter was calling, and I had to press ignore.
Okay.
Broaden your comfort zone. I really like to think that, if you dropped me right now, if you dropped me at the Missouri River, I know how to find my way back to the Bronx.
Okay.
If you dropped me in the Adirondacks, I know how to find my way back to the Bronx. If you drop me in Eastern Canada, I know how to find my way back to the Bronx. If you drop
Right.
me in Florida, I know how to find my way back to the Bronx. And I think that has helped me expand my view of the world and have a larger world because of it. You don't
Right.
have to, live everywhere, but I really think that the one key right now that I could, point to is travel. Travel. And in our days, travel ain't easy. And also, as a black man, traveling is not always easy, because sometimes you go places and you really have to, pay attention.
Right.
I have three rules in life: pay attention, always have a back pocket plan, and never let them see you sweat.
There you go. There you go. Michael Amos, I mean, I am so thankful of our friendship and the friendship that you've had with Mel Campos for so many years, and to see your spirit not only at the service, the celebration service for your uncle, and see all the people, all the love that was in that room, and you were right there, right in the thick of things. And like you said, you had a chance to reflect, to look at your family tree a little bit, and to see the loved ones that have passed on. And it was just a beautiful service. It was the music, the spirit, the love that was in that room. And I could feel that you're a big part of that love. And, I'm so thankful that you had the opportunity to come on tonight. What's your thoughts going into this surgery tomorrow?
Positive that it's gonna work.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Then we got more shows to do. We got all kinds of stuff to do.
Yeah. We got, and you know what my thought process is going, the same thought process I came into this show with. I'm not dead yet.
I love your spirit, Michael. And this is inspirational, people, because this show is Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb. And you're actually kicking all that negativity that's out there to the curb, and you're promoting positivity even from the hospital. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So, Michael, our thoughts and prayers are with you. I know you have to get some rest. It's 6:30 in the morning, comes very, very fast. So I want to thank you for taking the time and sharing with us. And the show that you do, Breakfast 50 Years with Mike and Mel, is great. It's on the radio every Wednesday night. It's you guys going back and forth talking about life.
Steve, we're not every Wednesday night. We're once a month. I know you're trying to get us on every night. I know you're trying to get us on every Wednesday, but I'm not letting you slide a fast one over on us. Not yet.
You're right. Every once a month, but sometimes twice a month. How's that?
Yeah. I'm open to that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're open to that. Well, this has been a pleasure. You're such a great person, and I really one last thing. We have a minute or two left, real quick. When you look at family, again, what stands out? Why is family so important for everyone?
Because it's family. It's no secret. It's family. That's why, because it's family, because you come from the same freaking line. You come from the same tree. The same blood runs through our veins. It's family. That's why. Because you put up with stuff from family that you may not put up with from everybody else. Right. And you find a way to do that and do it lovingly.
Right.
So, because it's family.
Right. Well, Michael, I'm so happy to hear that the staff is great. The room is great over there. You had a helicopter ride to look over the Finger Lakes. You've lived a lot. You lived in Minnesota. You've been all around. You have family in Florida. You have family in the Bronx. You have family all over. And it's wonderful to hear you talk about so lovingly of your family. And we want to thank you for everything that you do. And I can't wait to get you back on the air in a couple of weeks.
Give thanks. Give thanks, Steve. Give thanks.
Give thanks. Love you, brother. Get some rest, please. I'm going to be praying for you, and everything is going to be great. I can't wait to see you in a week or two. God bless you.
I said.
You get some rest, sir.
All right. Later, brother.
All right, later. All right, let's kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb. That was Michael Amos, courageous, coming on a show like that, like this, Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb, only less than 12 hours before he has open heart surgery. And open heart surgery is no joke. It's an 8-hour surgery. So for him to come on, to spend some time from his hospital bed, talking about life, talking about his family, talking about his dear friend Mel Campos for 50 plus years. Well, I don't know too many of us that would do that. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Michael. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for this extended version. Stephanie McPhail, I want to thank you for all the great work that you do. And everybody here at the Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon. It's been a joy and a pleasure. God bless. We'll see you next Tuesday night.